I like words. I like poetry. I like how the words sound. And tonight I wanted to begin by quoting the words of the late Justice Brennan. The words he wrote in his lead judgment to the Mabo case. And I want you to sit with these words, think about these words and the time it was written and the history that changed with these words. The common law itself took from Indigenous inhabitants any right to occupy their traditional land, exposed them to deprivation of the religious, cultural, and economic sustenance which the land provides, vested the land effectively in the control of the imperial authorities without any right to compensation, and made the Indigenous inhabitants intruders in their own homes and mendicants for a place to live. Judged by any civilized standard, such a law is unjust. I like the way the words sound. Judged by any civilized standard, such a law is unjust. I like the way that words spoken together, carefully chosen to sit alongside each other, just the right length, the right tone, each one setting up the other, chosen for both meaning and music. I like how they create a rhythm. They can rise us to anger. They can soothe us. Words like love, kindness, forgiveness, sorrow, rage, justice, peace, love, love. Above all, love, for where are we without it? Words spoken with weight and intent, words that can blow down mountains. I have a dream. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. knew how to speak. He knew what words meant. I have been to the mountaintop, he said, and I have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. How those words spoke to African Americans living under the boot of a racist America that would not see the God-given dignity of their fellow human beings. How America failed its own creed that all are created equal. King spoke to hope, even when he realized that hope itself spoke against a reality of hopelessness. And still his people hope, and still they journey to the promised land, and still his words speak today. They spoke to me, a little boy raised in the black churches of the missions that my family came from in outback New South Wales. My uncles preached in those churches as Martin Luther King Jr. preached. They preached to the church of the forsaken, the church of the crucified. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Eddie Mabo, we know, had a strong faith. Let's remember too his co-plaintiff, Father David Passy. Eddie Mabo and David Passy, they knew what it was to be forsaken and yet find hope in that forsakenness. The French philosopher Simone Weil spoke of the afflicted to be abandoned. She said the afflicted lived with the crucifixion. A kind of horror, she said, submerges the soul. In that darkness, the soul ceases to love. But love itself, she said, lives on in the emptiness. We go on wanting to love. She said, in our affliction, we know truth. We are the only ones who know the truth, the afflicted. In our abandonment, we lost all but love. Love, even just the wanting of love, held us together. Our love led us home. Martin Luther King Jr. knew about love as well. We still love you, he said. Send your hooded perpetrators of violence into our communities, and at the midnight hours, and drag us out to some wayside road and beat us and leave us dead, and we will still love you. But be assured we will wear you down by our capacity to suffer. Eddie Mabo knew about love, he knew about suffering, he knew about hope, and he knew about justice, and he knew truth. The truth. This was his land. This is our land, and this will always be our land. Truth.